Destroyed a lot of things. They have actually cut off limbs.
You know, it would help if I put it on the right way. Welcome, and thanks for slipping some time with me today. In this episode, we're going to talk about scatter shields and why you need one. Definitely if you have a fast, powerful car, you should have one for your own protection as well as your car's protection. I'm going to explain what they are, why they're used, and also we're going to do an install. On this particular car, it's going to be an Eagle Talon, but the principle is the same on any car that you put one on. So let's get going.
Just so you know, this is what a scatter shield is, or what it looks like anyway. I guess I should maybe tell you what it is a bit. So this scatter shield, this particular one is 304 stainless, 1/4 inch stainless steel. And what it is actually is to protect you in case your flywheel explodes. And flywheels do explode. Now, in some cars, they could actually, because of where they're located, they have actually cut off limbs, feet usually. The flywheel does. So what this does is if the flywheel goes through the bell housing, this goes around the bell housing, and I'll show you on this car what that looks like. And it basically will stop anything from flying out from that. It'll contain it. These are actually a requirement, I think, from NHRA 1149 or less. You have an SFI one or a 1/4 inch plate like this. We're going to put one on this car because, again, we're hoping this car on street tires gets in the 10s at least. So we're going to put it on. It's even if you aren't trying to meet the NHRA regulations, it's really good to have, because if you want to look things up on the internet, you can see where it's destroyed a lot of things. The worst case I've seen in this particular in DSMs, I've seen it actually, it went through the bell housing, it went through the block, and it went through the transfer case. So it took out 3 major components, and they were costly components because they were high horsepower to do that. And again, you only need these for high horsepower cars, but definitely good peace of mind to contain in case something happens. I know I would never run without one. Now this one's kind of stained, and we want to put everything in that car and make it look nice, so I'm going to give it a little blasting. I'm going to use bead glass, which will shine this up really nice and make it look like brand new. So when you're bead blasting, if there's a part of something that you do not want to get blasted, or you don't want to blast, take off. For example, we want to keep this lettering on here because the bead blast will take it right off otherwise. Actually, all you got to do if you're doing sandblasting, media blasting, glass bead, whatever, take some electrical tape and just put it over top of it. And the beads just bounce off this like it's rubber, kind of rubber actually, and they don't hurt it. And that's all you need to do. Do a little unveil here in case you didn't believe me that the blasting would preserve it, but there you go. All there. Now you can see it left a little bit of a stripe, which isn't too bad. I can actually take some little scouring pad there and clean that up as well. Now this is much easier to put in without that water pipe in, which is why I haven't put that in yet. So we're gonna put it in now. This particular thing, I've got to take the 2 top bolts out and then put it in. I got to put these out. So just so you know, that transmission is going to come out eventually and going to bead blast out as well to make it nice. But now we just want to get this up and running for some inspections going on. I discovered something on the scatter shield that I've got to alter, and it's pretty common, particularly on these DSM scatter shields. The problem, and I'll explain why it's not a problem for many folks out there, and why it's a problem for what we're doing in this car and what the resolution is. So let's have a look. So everything looks fine, everything fits fine. I'm going to show you what doesn't fit. This is the water pipe I've had in previous videos and showed you how I prepped it. Now, if you put it in here, you can see how this fits into the water pump. And this bolt here, you can see how it doesn't line up. The reason it doesn't line up is because this, and I'll call it the heater hose pipe, it actually does also go into, which we're not using, the coolant into your throttle body as well, to try and help out with cold idle and stuff, but we're not using that anyway. But we do still want to heat in this car. So why this isn't a problem, a lot of people put this only in race cars. Race cars don't care about heaters, so they just cut this pipe, this heater pipe off anyway, circulation pipe, and don't care. And then it's not in the way. And what I mean not in the way is it needs to go lower. It's used to going lower, but the scatter shield's in the way. Now there's two possibilities I can do on this. One is I can cut this down, if you can see it here. I can cut this down, basically file down the hole and make it fit. And do that. And in most cases this will work. But I'm not happy with that. The reason is, if you look, you're not aligning this perfectly with the water pump the way it's engineered. And you could get leaks. And I want to make sure there's no leaks. This is not only a racing car, but it's a street car that's going to put Lenny miles on. So we want to avoid that. We want to retain heat, so I'm leaving the water pump alone. Even if you try to bend this pipe with a pipe bender, and I've tried that before, it just won't. You could actually relocate this and solder and stuff like that, but I don't want to do that either. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece in the top here off. I am going to bend the pipe in a little bit, and it'll just tuck in there. And we'll show you what that looks like when it's done on this car. I've done it on a couple cars already. You can see how it fits in there, and you can see how it is cut right there, deep, what it looks like. Works fine. Now some of you may argue that may actually, the flywheel explodes, it has a little perp thing to get through there. That is so far back, it's actually past the firewall a little bit. So you're fine with the way it works. Highly unlikely, and if it does get past there, it's not going to hurt too much. Yes, it's a little bit of a risk, but I think you're fairly protected. And that's what I do, and I cut these, and we're going to go cut it. That's what we're doing to fix this. Essentially what I do is I cut it about even with these brackets here that actually tie into the transmission bolts. So the transmission bell housing does stick out a little bit that which, so you're going to lose, I'm going to say ½ inch. That's what it'll be. So that's the risk it adds. A ½ inch to the top, like I said, that's probably unlikely that'll cause any trouble, and it is acceptable. There's it notched out. I'm going to put it on now. It'll fit probably just as good as it did before, but the water pipe will fit better now. These are easy to get, smudge marks on them. So I ended up doing a clear coat on it just to cover it up. It does a nice little finish on it. Looks really nice, I think. You know, it would help if I put it on the right way. There we go. That makes sense now. Now, we're going to see how that water pipe turns out. Put that on. I might have to bend this pipe a little bit. I think I have in the past, but nothing too crazy. Something like that. Yeah, we just got to give it a little bend. And that's not a problem. The good news is, scatter shield's on. The not so good news is, I scratched this up a bit and I wasn't happy with it, so I redid it. I blasted it, and now I'm going to prime, paint, and clear with flame-proof paint again. That's it. We have some safety in the car now, not just for the person, but physical components of the car as well. And I didn't mention it, but I have seen a video, in fact, where it even went through the hood. It went through the transmission bell housing, some stuff on top of the transmission, and then right through the hood. So if you want to see some carnage out there, just look up flywheel exploding and look at some videos and you'll see some interesting stuff for sure. I promise you on that. Remember, if you have a crazy powered car out there, just make sure you've added some safety equipment that's appropriate for the power levels it's at. We don't want you to hurt yourself. Think about it as insurance on protecting your car and yourself from bodily injury. Thanks for joining me today on Slipping Time. Please enjoy every day and always make it right.